effects.
We're live! Yay!
Woo!
Matt, just in the middle of a discussion, could you summarize the problem with the local storage and React Redux and website one in one sentence?
Yeah. So we have a very unresponsive site that we are wanting to replace the front end with React because of some of the features that, like Redux, that we can save stuff in the store and then save state in the store, and then we don't have to make expensive requests back to the back end multiple times when visiting different pages. And then, yeah, we were saying that one of the things that we did on top of that, there was an idea, like Daniel was saying that, like, okay, that's all great, but what happens if you do hit a hard refresh, like you visit another page and then you go back, or what happens if the next day you want to go and open that same thing? If you have it saved in local storage, we could check if it's saved in local storage first, and if it is, then use that, and if it's not, then use the store, and if there's nothing there, then make the request, And you're
show the website one events page for 1 second. Share your screen.
Yeah. I also
RFM, but it's interesting anyways, because you're using React where RFM is using Ember, so it's somehow related with the same. In this discussion, the same principles apply.
Exactly, and also like Human Connection uses Vue, so it's like really kind of a really nice. So you can see my screen. So this is the new projects page, by the way. This is on production now. This is not the production site. This is the develop site on Doku, which I've migrated from Heroku to Doku, and I've just imported the staging data to do some checks. But you can see here.
We are seeing your terminal.
Oh, sorry. I forgot. This is the develop on Doku, and this is the new projects page. And here's Rundfunk bestimmen.
Your pronunciation is perfect.
And if you click on the picture, it takes you to the. I mean, this is quite slow as well, So
I can only see a part of your screen, to be honest. So, for example, you see the loading spinner of your browser. I don't know what you did, but you're sharing part of your screen, not the entire screen.
Yeah, it's because I don't know, like, I don't know if you have this issue because we're not on the same distribution of Linux, but like I'm with my monitor and I can't share like just my one. I can't share just the monitor, so I'm using VLC actually, and like you have to. It's like here, you need to get like the size is perfect for it to. But anyways, yeah. So let me see where is that? That's here. Yeah, I mean you can see almost all of it. There's a little bit that you can't see, but you can't see the address, can you?
Yeah, I can see the address. So I cannot see the loading spinner. In my browser, I think the loading spinner is next to the URL.
Yeah, I can try to. Is that better?
No. Oh yeah, there's the URL. Yes.
Okay, so if I come here, like what we're talking about is on the upcoming events, and you can like see 1, 2.
I found 3. A nice workaround for this. I'm using a window manager, yes, and I'm having 2 browser windows. On the left screen side, left half of the screen, I put the Agile Ventures page. On the right side of the screen, I put the YouTube page. They are slow. They are comparably slow. I'm not kidding. So I click on the events page on Agile Ventures. In the meantime, I can click on the menu button on YouTube to go to Creator Studio. I click on that. It takes 10 seconds at least to get to the Creator page. In the meantime, I can scroll down on Agile Ventures page because it has loaded, click on the event, and then switch to the YouTube new page again, and so on and so on. Wow. I noticed that it's really slow, but it doesn't hurt me anymore.
I mean, this is not demonstrating what I wanted it to demonstrate, because it's actually coming in like 2.5 seconds, which is not
so bad. But the point, let's say this particular page is very slow. The page is slow because you're doing a backend request. First, you reload the entire page, and the backend needs to is doing computational expensive database queries, because we are fetching the list of all events from now to I don't know the
It's
next
only
days or
it's
something.
only 10 days, but it's also we have to like because we have like recurring events. Like some of the events started in the past, but they possibly have upcoming events. You know, like they were created in the past. Anyways, yeah.
All the recurring events have been created in the past. Actually, every event has been created in the past, but it's happening in the future or in present. Yeah, and so the reason I put in one thing here, like if you're doing React in order to fix your computationally expensive queries, I would say that's a bad idea, because you should fix your computationally expensive queries.
Yeah.
So because
yeah, I mean, I think we're doing those. I think we're doing those concurrently. You know, that's the idea. Like we've just put in some low-level caching that, like, you know, once the request to the events has been made one time by one user, then it'll be cached, and then like it expires after 12 hours, or we expired after someone updates an event, and that's like going to be pushed into production soon. Like
there are very, very aggressive caching modes in Rails. So I was using it once for a page where it was actually very similar, honestly. So I was improving the performance of a page which was accessed by many, many, many users. And the content of the page was just more or less just data, and it would change over time. And it would definitely not change within 1 minute. So you can create a cache where you cache the entire page, right? And Rails just spits out the entire page for every minute. The first request will be rendered, then Rails caches the request, and then it will always return the same result. And that would actually apply here. It was super fast.
Is that like that you're talking about, like HTTP caching?
Yeah, just think of, you have one HTML piece of HTML, and the next time you have the very same request, the server doesn't do anything, and no queries anymore. It just responds with the HTML, and it waits for 1 minute, and then it invalidates the cache, and the next request will render the new HTML again.
Yeah. Is that like working on but that's not working on like 304 caching? Like if it returns a 304, meaning nothing has changed, then it doesn't matter if it changes or not, because it's invalidating every minute.
Yeah, it's invalidating frequently, and for this particular page it would work, because every person sees the same kind of page, so it's not depending on who's seeing it. So one user can render the same page that will be served for the second user and the next user. And it's not changing that fast. So first of all, every person sees the same thing, and it's not changing. I mean, you could increase the threshold even. You could say invalidate the cache every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That is actually really, really fast. Like I can tell. Like I was using a performance tool that was doing something like a DDoS on one index page, and it was having the exact desired effect. So it was without the caching, firing many requests to the page. Eventually, the time for each request until you see some response was increasing more and more, because the server had to process so many requests, and this time went up. And with the caching, it was going up at first and then flat, and that was the exact desired behavior. And then after the cache was invalidated, you had a small spike again, but then a flat again, right?
Yeah.
So it could handle lots of requests.
Yeah, I mean, I think our the amount of requests that we receive is relatively small in comparison to what you're talking about, isn't it? But
Yeah,
like,
but
that doesn't mean we couldn't benefit from it.
pages, if you switch with the caching word apply, if it's on within the last minute.
Yeah. Stupid test.
And that would also skip the database queries.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is we want to be adding, like, in the meantime, like, until we have this like React front end, like, because it's not gonna be as quick as that. As much as I would like to just be able to to implement the components and have it communicate with the API and render what we want it to render. That's like the easy part in comparison to like getting it all, making sure it's all tested and all that kind of stuff. So it's gonna take a while, but like in the meantime, we can, this week we're gonna have that low level caching push through, and then there's like, I was reading about like we're on Rails 5.2 now, by the way.
Nice.
Rundfunk is on Rails 5.2 as well, isn't it?
No, we have one dependency that's blocking us, and it's this strange gam called chrono model, which is amazing in one way, and not so amazing in another way. It's amazing because it's so powerful, and it's not so amazing because it's patching active record.
Right.
Rails updated active record, and it doesn't work with chrono model anymore. Well, with that version, they have an issue that they want to update it. Can you maybe show it to us? Just open GitHub, type in chronological model, I don't know. You should get to the organization of the Italian Foundation for Agriculture, something. Chrono model. It's one word. That's it. IFAD. That's, I don't know, something in Italy. Yeah, and that's the problem. We use it for the temporal data visualization, so the comparison over time.
I remember, you showed us this. It looks really cool, but it doesn't work with, it just works with up to 5.1, right? No, IR 4.2 is not compatible with Ruby. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of a shame, huh? Yeah, we added Dependabot to Met Plus, by the way, so that's a trickle down from RFM. Like, because when I joined, not even like Website One or Locusport were using Dependabot, and then you talk to Sam, and now he's added that there and is liking it, and now we've added it to Met Plus to help update some of the stuff there.
Yeah, I find that if you have a decent test set up and you have a lot of tests and you rely on it and you feel confident with it, something like Dependabot is really a great tool. Yeah. Of course, if you have to double check each dependency update, it's annoying, but yeah, I really.
But I mean, it is, but it's also something that's cool for like junior developers to do when they're bored,
Okay.
I mean, I'm half joking, but I'm kind of serious as well. Like, if there's ever something like I'm like, oh, I don't really know what to work on, and then I can go there and I can look at the pull request and I can see, oh, this is being blocked, and I can like go there and see, is it like an intermittent failing test, and then I just need to kick off the build again, or is it something I need to pull down and I need to like try to see if it's failing for me locally in the same way, and then I need to research why, if what changes are causing that to happen, and then get it passing and push it back up, it was like that. And also, like, we just upgraded to 5.2, and now that's just got on production. And then by the time it got to production, like, we already had a pull request from Dependabot to upgrade to 5.2.1, and then that was like causing like hundreds of failures. And then I like had to research that, because it's like, why would that be the case? Like, it's only a minor version. And then it was to do with like polyamorous and gem. And so then I ended up researching it and like adding ransack, which is supposed to be used with polyamorous, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know, but it sounds horrible. It sounds horrifying. Can you maybe scroll up a little bit, and I can show you the issue that I was referring to with Chrono Model. So,
the issue.
yeah, there's an issue with it. We have 8 issues. One of it is Rails 5.2, and if you click on it, somebody already tried to work on it, and that is that's
Travis
which is really amazing. But it's also Robert. And I mean, I did some research on it on June the 19th, but this is currently blocking us. If you go onto RFM's side and check out the pull requests, you see that I haven't merged in Chrono Model because it's not possible. Oh no, I haven't merged in Rails 5.2 because they changed so many things. One of it is actually failing. There are always two for the Ruby dependencies. There are now always 2 pull requests. One updating it in the backend folder, one updating it in the root folder. Chrono Model, there it is. So first of all, Chrono Model was updated, and Rails, I think. No, Rails is pinned on a specific version. Maybe Matt, if you have, well, you don't have time, do you?
I mean, yeah, I have some time. Yeah, why not? I mean, my time might change after tomorrow, but
yeah, right. But if you're interested,
yeah,
I would. What confuses me right now is that we see an update of the version of Chrono Model, but not an update of Rails. Well, we don't see an update of the Rails version because I pinned it to a particular version. But why does Chrono Model fail? Why does the new version of Chrono Model fail? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Is there anything related to Rails on the pull requests?
Here in this, like, there's these commits. Revert add Rails 5.2 as supported.
No, that's fine, I think. I mean, there's no Rails update branch or update pull request.
No, there's not that I saw. No.
Okay.
I mean, it might be waiting. It might be waiting for. Oh, look, bump Rails. Yeah.
No, but that's 5.1 to 5.1.6.1.
I mean, yeah, but that's it. Won't put in a. I think it won't put in a PR to upgrade it to 5.2 until it's like upgraded to the latest minor version, I think.
Yeah. Well then, but that's something to put some research in. Or Mike, you want to do that? What you could just check out that branch, or update Rails manually. That's also possible. Or Chrono Model. Sorry, Chrono Model. Yeah, I can update Chrono Model manually and see what's the problem with it. Like, what are the tests that are failing? Even if you don't fix it, it would be interesting for us to see what is the problem exactly. You could check out the build server and see and think about it. What's the problem here? How many tests are failing? Bottle lexic reg exited with 1. What is the problem? Specs. Some R specs are failing.
Yeah,
the statistics specs, and that makes sense because they need Chrono Model. The statistics, they also include the difference over time. Mike, did we lose you? You're always very silent. You always mute yourself. So I don't know if you can still follow us.
It's louder. Not quite.
Yes. So I think I was away for a while, and then I came back and you were talking about Chrono Model.
You don't know what Chrono Model is?
No.
Yeah, maybe Matt. I think you know what Chrono Model is.
Yeah, I think Mike, you might remember, and you just don't remember the name of it when Robert was explaining to us about how the that D3 thing that we still need to pair on works. and historical data. So like the problem with storing historical data in a regular like database like Postgres without Chrono model is that once you update it, like what was there before just gets kind of blown away. And with Chrono model, you're able to like see historical data because it adds like it adds like a layer. Oh, where is the thing? Into the database that has it's like its own column where it deletes the not deletes, it adds like a started created at or something like this, and then like ends at null. And when it adds the here we go. Here, this is you don't remember this, Mike?
The time it's they add 2 columns: valid from, valid to.
Yeah,
and
there
you go. And you can filter all the records that will have been valid at a certain point of time, right? So the current database would be all the records that are valid as of now. But you can also see the state of the database, and filter for all records that were valid 3 months ago. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's what's going on here. So yeah, every class which is implementing time machine has this as of method now. Yeah, and it's changing some tables, of course. Yeah, it needs that.
So he was saying like if you could help like to try to debug why this is. So you have these specs, like most of them are the request specs, but you do also have in the controller as well. And like just in general, like Mike, you know, I think you're getting more and more experience with like opening up the build history and like having a look at it and seeing why it's failing and that kind of thing. Like that would be really helpful for not only yourself but for RFM.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Will you please share the link? I can't see.
Yeah, I mean, I here's the, you can go like you can find it in the, if you don't have the link later, you can just go to the pull requests, you know, and then like what I was saying earlier that I was kind of, you know, half joking about is that, you know, in general, like any of these that are failing, like, okay, why is this ESLint plugin Ember failing? You can try to have a look and research it and try to get it passing, you know?
Yeah. Dependentbot has this amazing feature that it's telling you what has changed. So for example, ESLint is just a static code checker. It should be very easy to debug that.
Yeah, you can see the change log.
Yeah, so this one is definitely a breaking change. So what do they say? They have 1 bug fix, 1 enhancement, and that is already 6.0. But we're going from 5 to 6. Is that true?
5.4 to 6.01.
So you would have to go to ESLint blah blah plugin and see there's breaking change. Yeah. So the breaking change here, from what I can see, is they added some more policies that you're not allowed to use. They dropped Node 4 support, yes.
Yeah, but we don't have Node 4 in RFF, I would imagine.
And I think we are not complying with avoid using needs in controllers tests. Okay. I'm pretty sure.
And this as well, like they removed deprecated experimental objects rest spread. I don't know if you use that, but you could check that like to see.
And you can also just check the build server, and it probably will tell you what's going on. And it should be fairly easy to fix that very pull request.
And it's a good way, like I don't know, I think it's a good way to get more familiar with reading the build stuff, but also to like get a better idea of what's going on with the project, you know.
The error message: do not use setup tests with needs.
Oh, so that's something that we used to need to do to get some stuff failing, I remember.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so, and it even tells you like it's failing this thing here, no restrictor resolver test. So then you can come here and you can check out like this breaking change here. And yeah, so that's what you said you thought it was. And you, yeah, come here and.
Does it make sense to you, Mike? Do you think that's easy?
Yeah, I can give it a go.
This is my cousin's name, Robert Jackson.
Oh, nice. Robert Jackson is one of the most active members of the Ember.js community.
Yeah.
He's working together with Tom Dale on LinkedIn.
All right.
Yeah. Very prominent figure in the Ember.js community. I think he's probably the most active, even more active than Tom Dale.
At least you won't forget his name, Matthew.
Yeah, I know, right? But presumably somewhere in here, if I look enough, they'll tell me what I'm supposed to use instead.
Yeah, but we can research that later. Did anybody of you actually work on RFM in the last week? Does anyone has an update on his or her work?
No.
No. No, Mike?
No, I just started work on my local, just creating the branch and reading on the link you shared about the legend.
Yes.
And I haven't actually implemented that. I think I will try make time for that.
Yeah, but so it's not that you have any questions or you're blocked in any way?
No, not blocked.
Right. If you are blocked at some point, just tell me. That will be all cool. Then I haven't worked on RFM either, yet I have something for you. I will quickly switch on my screen. So I was super busy the last week. I just arrived from a company called Ecosia. They're based in Berlin. They have this green search engine. And I also introduced Jessica to our Agile Ventures and also invited her to join.
Oh, yeah.
She's very active in the diversity communities here in Berlin. Women Who Code, Pilot. She did a lot of. She was very active in those communities. I met the speaker of the Case Computer Club yesterday, and they had so many meetings here on site in Berlin that I really didn't have a lot of time. But for HC, for Human Connection as well, I was doing something, and I want to share it with you because it's a nice lecture. Oh, and I got this present here, by the way. That's the other project I'm working on. So on Sunday, I did a paper prototype test. Matt and Mike, do you know what a paper prototype test is?
Yeah, I think you explained it. It's where you like go out in the public and with like a design for something, and you get people to like try to interact with it or something like that.
Exactly. And before you even write one single line of code, you can test for example, the user interface, what works and what doesn't. So I'm trying to unwrap this very carefully because it's kind of fragile. Okay. Or maybe I can just cut it open. So I was doing this paper prototype test for Human Connection on a particular feature. That is the pro-con discussion. Oh, where do I have something to... So do you know what a pro-con discussion is? What does that mean?
I mean, it sounds like you're saying pros and cons, like before making a decision, you talk about the pros and cons.
Exactly. So it sounds very easy, but it's not like that. People would like to use or would like to have this kind of feature on, for example, Facebook or any social network. There are organizations with a couple of users, and they want to have structured debates. That is, they want to discuss a political issue, for example, and they want to see some kind of structure in it, and see what are the best arguments, for example, for each side. They also want to learn, like you want to read the pro-con discussion, and you want to teach yourself, and you want maybe to have to resolve the discussion somehow and get a result, or what's like you want to have democratic vote, right?
Yeah.
So, and here, yeah. So it took 1 hour. I had my screen open. So just imagine I was sitting. I was sitting at the table. We had coffee and a cake, and then I said, okay, let's do this paper prototype, and we made space for it. And then we had like 7 people sitting at the table, and I was explaining to them, okay, you're going to be tested, but it's not you who's actually being tested, but the system. If you do any mistakes, that's great, because that's great feedback. I will not going to help you, because in reality I wouldn't be there either. Please think aloud, so I can make notes and bring that feedback back to the team, back to the development team, for example.
Yeah, yeah.
So this was one screen, right? So you can see. So I took the example from an app which has pro and contra, pro-con implemented. This is a piece of text in German. And this piece of text in German is asking to stop, to abolish clock changes. And it's saying we should abolish the winter time, the winter clock time. Is that correct English, Matt?
Yeah, daylight savings.
Daylight savings. Yeah, but is daylight savings not the summertime? The one that we have in summer?
I mean, I think they still call it daylight savings. Like,
I don't know. So we call it summer and winter time, and it's trying to get rid of the winter time. And then we have 2 columns, which are labeled pro and contra. And this took on for half an hour. We have 2 other buttons here. So this is just a post-it. And I told them, okay, this is a button where you can click on, for example. And it's saying separate the discussion, and this one is related discussions. And then they put in, everyone had a piece of paper, and they had a pen, and they could write something down, cut it with some scissors, and put it with how do you call this thing where you can you see it?
Yeah.
What's the name for that in English? We call it Tesa.
Are you talking about like a label, or what do you mean?
Like here, this. Can you see the
it's like a piece of tape.
Help me.
Yeah, tape.
The tape. Yes, of course.
Yeah. Sorry.
And, the reflection is called
reflection.
Okay. They got some tape, and they could put in their arguments here. Argument is argument in favor or against this thing here. So pro or con.
Yeah.
So the first experience was they never clicked on these buttons. You don't even know what they mean, right? They were not at all interested. It just doesn't work. And there's a lot of spam in here, right? So we already had that. They put in arguments that are not even arguments at all. Here's, for example, cancel. They were asking for where's the cancel button, and they just wrote it down in the comment and put it in here, which has nothing to do with the definition, right?
Yeah. Cancel what? I mean, that could be an argument, like cancel daylight savings.
Well, I don't know, right? So that would be a problem.
Not an argument, but
Yeah, and we had like half an hour, and it was a very active discussion, and they were asking, okay, I want to have a rating of the best arguments, right? Several people together expressed the need for a community-based way of upvoting or downvoting certain arguments. So they want, basically, they are expecting a stream of arguments, and they want to see the best coming up, that the to the top or something like that. On the other hand, you don't want new arguments that were recently added to be at the very end, right?
Yeah.
So there should be some balance between balance in the visibility of this argument, based on how many people upvoted it and how recently it was added to the discussion, right?
Yeah.
So that is super amazing feedback that you as a developer can use in order to create a feature that people would like to use. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Federico's talking to us about more doing things like this, and also we're like, I mean, I'm in a place where I need to do like these type of user, like, it's not a paper one, but like getting the some users of Met Plus to actually like scheduling interviews for them to actually go and actually watch them using it and see, get feedback from them on what they expect to find on the homepage and where they're like actually going and all this kind of stuff, So it's interesting. And like, Federico's trying to get us to be more, think more about this kind of stuff.
I like Federico.
Like, it has the potential of really slowing down, like, but that's the thing. It's like it's quote unquote slowing down the development, but it's like, it means that you're actually developing something, the right thing, instead of just developing for development's sake,
I cannot understand the saying of it's slowing down the development. Like, why?
Well, I mean, for like the Anvil project, for example, the Anvil project is supposed to be the React front end, or it's supposed to be the React front end for website one. And we've been like having, meetings on and off for months on it. And the only thing that's come out of it is like a prototype of, I shouldn't say the only thing that's come out of it, because again, like, we've been able to schedule user interviews and try to understand what's important for people, especially premium members who are using Agile Venture site, and what is like confusing for them, or what they're expecting when they go to certain pages, and then come up with like a list of priorities of things that we should be working on, So it's not
interviews,
but we haven't done any development.
Interviews are not as productive, or they don't give that good results like a prototype test. Why? If you ask a user what he would like to have, then he's going to say, okay, I want everything to be super easy, and it should solve all my problems, and it shouldn't cost anything.
Yeah.
And it should just be there, and it just work fine, right? So they ask everything from you, like everything should be perfect, and they're not saying I wouldn't pay for that, right? Because if you ask him, would you pay for it? Then they are expecting, if I say no, they're never going to develop it, and of course they're going to say, yeah, maybe I will pay for it, because they want you to develop it for them, right? If somebody is doing something for them, they think it's awesome, but if you can prove with a prototype like this that some features just don't work, like these two here, okay, then it's actually not slowing down development, it's speeding it up.
Yeah.
Because you simply don't do certain things.
Yeah.
So I cannot understand the argument it's slowing down development. It's actually doing the opposite.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's, I mean, I get what you're saying, I think like if you do it the right way, then you're absolutely correct. Like it's developing the right things so that you don't have to develop features that nobody's going to use, and you do develop features that people are going to use.
Exactly.
But like, it's like having high level discussions at the beginning of pairing sessions or beginning of meetings. Does that slow you down, or does that speed you up? Because I've definitely been in pairing sessions where we didn't actually do any pairing, because we ended up like talking for an hour about like the high level discussion of things. And then when it comes time to actually like, schedule the next pairing session or whatever, someone's sick, or they get busy, or they do have other priorities, or, and then you have these like great high level conversations, but then no actual development gets done.
Yeah, I don't like high-level conversations because I did several sprint weeks already, and usually we have the first day and the first half of the second day a high-level conversation, and I'm insisting on keeping the high-level discussions short and immediately start with a paper prototype, a role-based prototype, or anything where we can test our assumptions, and also we have something to touch which physically represents what we were talking about, right? So if you talk with somebody and you say, "Did you understand this or that?" and he says yes, I would say out of 10 times, 5 times or 6 times he doesn't understand, or she doesn't understand what you're talking about, and you had different things in mind. So the person you're talking to thinks of something else, and there are so many things that you don't expect, that you don't anticipate, that happen or that get visible or exposed during a test like this. So high-level conversations I don't like. Paper prototypes I really like, because it was always the experience. You had this high-level conversation, you did the paper prototype, and a word has changed after that. And you think, oh, why did I spend so many times doing this high-level conversation? I could have done this right after, I don't know, half an hour, and I would have the same result now. And I could, with the new knowledge, iterate on that.
Yeah, but I mean, I've also had the opposite happen where I just jumped in and started coding on something, and then you get to a place where you realize that if I had a higher level understanding of what exactly I want to be developing, and for the reasons I want to be developing those things, then I wouldn't get stuck in a place where I'm getting blocked by this, whatever this is, and needing to either start from scratch or redesign, re-architect what I'm trying to. So
yeah, let's see. This thing here is somewhere in the middle. It's between high-level conversation and hacking it. It's not programming, but it's already something. It gives you a very quick prototype that you can test. Of course, it will not give you the same results as it would have an actual prototype with software, but this takes so much more time. Right? And it takes so much more time until you can learn something from the feedback of your customer or whatever. So this one here, this is the second prototype. I implemented it immediately after the first prototype. And these buttons here, this is an orange button and a green button, and they say upvote, or they don't say upvote, but they have a laughing smiley and a sad smiley, because I didn't know how to do thumbs up. I'm not that good in drawing, but I can at least draw some smileys. And I also wanted to test something else. So in the original feature, we had also these emotions. You know them from Facebook. We had them on the bottom of the pro-contra. How do you call it? So you say pro-contra discussion or pro-con discussion?
We say pros and cons.
Pros and cons discussion.
Discussion. I mean, I don't know if they use it with discussion, but just pros and cons.
There's also something else. You have this neutral column. You have, instead of 2 columns, you have 3. And the result was there was a heated debate that was about Fahrverbote in Berlin. So a complete shutdown of for cars to drive in Berlin because of the air, of bad air, of the air pollution.
Yeah,
it's currently going on in Germany, right? We had the scandal of diesel, and they're one city after another is doing this kind of thing, that these cars are not allowed to drive anymore in the city. Nevertheless, again, this here, it didn't work at all, right? We can actually scratch it. These emotions, people didn't understand what they are for. Is it something like, upvoting the entire thing, or is it just my feeling with it? And is it possible to filter later on for these emotions? And they just didn't understand what's the purpose of this, right?
I mean, if I had to guess, I would say that it's like you like the topic of discussion, or you dislike, or you're angry about, or
they didn't know. The second thing is, like here, the neutral part, they put in some content here, but for example, this is actually a question. That's questioning the text which is up here, because the text says, "Are electricity cars? Is it correct? Electricity cars, like Tesla, are they allowed to drive into the city or not?" Because the text is not very it's not unambiguous.
It's not. It's not clear, or it's not.
Yeah, it's not clear. It's not stating. It's just saying no one is allowed to drive anymore in the city, and so this was basically a question: how is that meant to be, right? And that also spinned up the question, like, is it possible to edit this later on, right? And also, what if you want to edit it later on? What happens to the arguments then at that time, right? Should we maybe have a phase where you can edit the text, and then a phase where you can actually say, I'm pro or con, right? And you can add arguments to it. So that was also really valuable feedback. And also, we had a long discussion here, and that is probably my favorite feature that's been up here. We had a lengthy discussion here. And one of the participants had the idea that if you have one discussion, one pro-con discussion, and one sub-argument, and people are very actively commenting and replying to it, maybe you want to create or spawn a new discussion from it, like a branching discussion, where you see, okay, there's something in this included, which is worth another pro-con discussion, right? For example, if you think of abolishing the clock changes for wintertime, people wanted to say, okay, I'm pro abolishing the clock changes, but I don't want the wintertime to be abolished. I want the summertime to be abolished, right? So they can separate this, and it's more understandable in a sense, right? Otherwise, people would say I'm contra this particular solution because it's not 100% that I'm agree with. The difference. So I thought this was a major success. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about the demands of our users. Also, how this feature has to look like, where the direction is going to. Also, something for inspiration, where I don't know, okay, how to implement that, but. And also, which is even more important, I know what doesn't work. Yeah, I can really, I can suggest it to you to try out the same thing, and it will not be the last time where I did that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting. I remember you talked to us about that before, and it's something that at some point I would like to try.
Yeah, do it. It's really easy. You can Google a little bit. How does paper prototyping work? What do you have to do if I do this user test? It's fairly easy. That's from my side. Here are my 2 cents regarding the development for RFM. I couldn't work on anything else because of lots of meetings in the meantime. So
yeah, I think I'm going to cut back some of my meetings. I've been feeling overwhelmed by meetings, you know.
I see.
Like I not that I want to cut back on pairing sessions, like coding. I definitely want to do that, but like a lot of meetings are just talk, you know.
Yeah,
like, that's not fun. I mean, you know, I'm saying that in a meeting that I realize that we're not doing any coding, but like, you know, I'm not saying I'm going to abolish all of them, but I just, you know, it's just there's so many, you know. And I'm going to ones that I'm like, I don't feel like my, like I'm actually providing anything that like is, like, I don't know. Anyways, there's not a lot of them, but yeah, I'm going to cut back some of them. And
the way you learn is just very different from many other developers. Many other developers start to learn in an introvert way. Sit in front of the computer, try to solve a technical problem, and that's it. And they're trying on their own.
Yeah.
You're totally different. So you do the agile thing and the soft skills first, and then you learn the technologies, right?
Yeah.
I would actually favor this way of learning because, for example, Jessica today at Ecosia, she told us it's trickier to learn the soft skills than to learn the hard skills. There are a lot of resources for the hard skills out there, and you will get there eventually. It's a lot to learn, yes, but it is doable, and pretty much everyone can do it. While learning the soft skills it's tricky, right? For example, she mentioned that you need self-confidence in order to just apply for a job at a tech company if you don't have the required skill set yet, right?
Yeah.
It takes some courage to do that, even though everyone knows who already works at a tech company that they love to mentor people or they love to mentor junior developers. If it's a cool company or it's a smart company.
Yeah. I mean, it's someone recently was, I don't remember who it was, so I can't give him credit. Maybe Sam, I don't know. But it was saying that like, that's the thing. A lot of times people, when they fill out their job applications and stuff, they're focusing just on like what like tech experience they have, and not focusing on like the other thing, so many other things make for being a productive part of a team, but that's something that also, Mike, you were talking recently about how sometimes it's a bit overwhelming because we're like learning like 10 different languages at the same time or something like that. You with us, Mike?
With us?
Yeah, I think what I actually felt was that I just joined Agile Ventures a few months ago. Then I didn't know anything about Ruby. I was not so good with JavaScript. I was not Elixir, and and now within like a very short duration of time, like when I join the Elixir mob, guys are doing things there, and maybe I need to understand that. I need to catch up. When I come to RFM, I need to understand Ember. I need to understand like the Rails, the tests that are failing. And then when I go to maybe website one, moving to React, I need to understand React and all that stuff. And then I'm originally a Python guy, and I wouldn't say that I'm so advanced in that. And also, so I also need to keep learning Django and all that stuff. So I think that's why I made the comment that it's just too much, but we have to keep going,
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said the other day, like where you were saying, like, I can't remember exactly what you said, but you said persistence over, what was it? Do you remember? Persistence over.
Yeah, it's like doing things more consistently. Consistency beats
speed.
Yeah, like how would I call it?
You put it like is greater than, but like, yeah, you can say beats like as in is better than, or is the way to go, or
yeah, doing like when you do something more consistently, it's better than doing something like just once to have it happen. Like one great example would be the way Robert has this RFM call consistently for 1.5 hours every week. Over time, I think if you get to attend the RFM meetings like all the days, like you won't feel the pressure. like you'll be learning every new thing every single day. And then on another way, we could maybe have one meeting that goes for 5 hours and guys get bored and stuff. So yeah.
You're saying you get bored in our React our React pairing sessions. Is that what you're saying, Mike?
Yeah.
No, I hear you. Yeah.
So it's consistency over intensity. Yeah. Long-term consistency actually beats short-term intensity.
Yeah. I agree.
So yeah, Robert, like what you are doing in your with the paper prototyping, that's sort of research or something. I'm also trying to learn research so that maybe I could be able to write papers and all that stuff.
Yes.
So what has always not like sunk to me is how you do research in a computer science environment. Like other guys, if you go to the guys who do history and all that, maybe economics, what they will do always is to go out and write questionnaires, and people fill those questionnaires and they analyze the questionnaires, and that's how they get their research. I don't know if it's different in computer science. I don't know if your approach is kind of one of the ways you are doing research. Yeah, I think you had people, and then you had the paper prototypes, and then they were trying to use your paper prototypes, and you could see you could analyze that and get feedback from that. Yeah, so I think that was research.
Yeah, so for the research, you can do all these things, and I would suggest that you do all these things. You can do interviews, high-level interviews. That's perfect if you do some kind of software for a particular field of business. Let's say you want to implement an app for physicians. Then you would go to a doctor and you ask him questions about his work. What are his problems, right? Interviews are great if you deal with experts. You can do questionnaires, as I said. Questionnaires is great if you get many users and you have some empirical proof that I don't know, depending on your question, of course. But let's say you get some empirical proof that I don't know. I'm trying to find a good example. If I say I had this idea that the last time I saw a questionnaire was about, are you willing to share your medical data? And so many percent said I'm not willing, and yet they are going to Facebook, right? So sometimes questionnaires are really bad for answering a question, because the answers that people put in a questionnaire is untrue. They just lie, or they pretend to behave in a way they don't. So the only question that came to my mind right now was about data privacy, and that's probably the worst statistic I've seen so far. But nevertheless, questionnaires are great if you want to get some empirical proof about anything. I've seen a questionnaire lately on Facebook. It was also for an app. It was for an app about for women to feel safe. They return from their work back home, and in winter it's getting dark in Germany. Do they feel unsafe? Do they avoid dark passages, for example? Right? Are they feel in danger? Yesterday, I was coming back home very lately, and I didn't feel afraid because I'm tall and strong, and I'm usually never afraid. Also, to just walk back home in dark alleyways or something, right? But maybe that's different for other people. So that's actually a great example. Questionnaires. that would be a great example to get, for example, knowledge about emotions. Just think about it. So interviews, best for experts. Questionnaires, if you want some empirical proof, but be very careful with your questions, with your questionnaire, with the way of asking people. And third is the prototype, because you get real feedback. If you do prototypes, it's going from high level into a little bit more tangible. And usually, if you have people trying out your prototypes, they spend time, right? Spending time or spending anything that hurts is a great way to get honest feedback. That's what I told Matt in the beginning. If you ask users for their opinion, they will not give you honest feedback because they want you to do their work, right? If you ask people to try out your paper prototype, then you get honest feedback because they either have to spend time for something they don't want, right? And then they will tell you, right? They will tell you, I don't like this, right? Go away. And that's honest feedback. No, really, I'm not kidding. So I had 3 paper prototypes in advance before I started RFM.
Mm-hmm.
One was entering a list of an empty table with broadcasts. So you were basically, maybe I can show it to you. I'll share my screen. I have to share my screen once at least.
Yeah, I know.
Google Drive. So I had 3 paper prototypes. Oh, I think I'm also on Speaker Deck.
Wow. I should look you up.
Again, Mike?
Oh, this is Speaker Deck. I think the site that I was thinking of was different.
Oh no, it's not. The talk about paper prototypes is not, or is it? No, that's something else. Okay, I have to check out the Google Drive. Because I have documentation of my paper prototypes. There we go. Prototype. What is that? Oh, you can still see what I was doing exactly.
Robert.
Yes.
I don't want to be rude, but I'm gonna go build some stuff with React.
Yes, no problem.
Thank you. It was really good. I was debating whether I should, because I have like lots of DevOps stuff I need to do as well, and I was debating whether or not to join today, and I'm really glad I did. So yeah, yes. Good to see you again.
And no problem at all. I'm happy that you have been here. It will be the last thing I'm going to show, Mike. Anyway, yeah. I wanted to close this meeting.
And I'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, definitely. We will see each other tomorrow. All right.
Yeah, if you want to talk about anything beforehand, just you know where to reach me.
It's fine. I think it's okay. Beforehand, it will be the usual developer meeting. I think our meeting is scheduled at 12 a.m. or no, 12 p.m. German time and 11 a.m. UK time, right? Mm-hmm. And it will be all right. Before that, we will have another meeting. I will not be available, so it's all right.
Okay, cool.
Bye-bye.
See you soon. See you, Mike.
Bye. Yeah. So the last thing I'm going to do for you, Mike, is to check out the prototypes. And I couldn't count. They paper prototypes. Didn't paper prototypes. I'm trying to explain something to you, which is much easier if I can actually show it to you. Yes, this is it. So can you see something, Mike? Can you see this table here?
Yes.
So the idea was you have rowcast and you just have to basically, let's say, 2 or 3 columns, rowcast, the station, and the money that you want to spend for it, and that's it. And you populate this table by yourself. Okay, first idea. Second idea, you have a very comprehensive list, and you just highlight those that you would like. Right. So this is like from a TV magazine, and they list all the broadcasts that are currently on TV.
Okay.
Second idea, you have something like that. Very, very easy. You don't choose broadcasts by title, but you just select like a category, for example, comedy or documentaries, and then you just assign proportions, and that's it. Okay. The result was that all users, they really hated all of them, right? They hated it. I did all three of them with each person, and they hated all of them. So what was the problem with this one here? They didn't have any idea, right? So I was asking, what would you like to spend your public broadcasting fees for? And then they thought, okay, what do I actually know, right? They just hadn't any ideas. So the feedback here was, you have to give users suggestions. All right, does that make sense?
Yes.
Maybe I have the actual result. Yes. Okay, so this is the talk that I gave at the Ruby user meeting in Berlin, the Ruby user group. So these are the three ideas, and that failed because people just don't have any ideas. So this is the actual result. Like, this is the table of one person. Only 2 broadcasts came to his mind, right? And he was even too lazy to fill out what they. Oh no, 3 broadcasts. Okay, to be fair, this one is another one. And he was even too lazy to type in an amount here. So this actually failed because people just don't have any idea. Then there was this thing here. You remember the proportional categories?
Yes.
And people told me orally that they just don't understand what does comedy mean, right? They had, when they thought of comedy, they had different broadcasts coming to mind, but some of them they liked and some of them they don't. And obviously, they only want to support those broadcasts they actually like. So they want to support the good, but not the bad ones. Okay. So this one was too vague. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And this one they hated the most, right? So this was a very comprehensive list of the TV magazines, and they highlighted it. And at some point, this is in German. It says, "Give everything the same," right? So this was the ultimate. Okay, I give up. I don't want this anymore, right?
Yeah.
And that was the outcome. They hate them all. Okay, but
Yeah,
I learned a lot when I was doing the paper prototypes, and each line represents one learning of each prototype. So you have to give them suggestions. You have to be specific, and you need to keep it short.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And these were the learnings that RFM was built on. If you see the application now, you immediately can go to it and click on it and immediately see some suggestions. It's not, you don't have to support the entire program. As soon as you have 3 broadcasts that you like, you can distribute your budget, and you're done. And the analytics say that the average time is about 4 minutes to go through the whole process, which I think is okay, right? So the first time they reach the first time they reach the distribution page, they, oh no, what is going in here? That is not good. That's not good at all. Okay, but the first time they hit the first time when they hit the distribution page, what's going on? Apparently there was a deployment and it failed. Interesting.
Like the CD failed.
I don't know. I think there was a deployment in the meantime, and it failed. I merged one pull request, and it triggered a deployment, and that failed.
Oh, okay.
So
okay. It doesn't send an alert when like it fails.
So we are going to revert the latest request. That should undo. Or maybe we'll look into this later. But 4 minutes for getting for solving the problem is a great success, right? It's much better than half an hour for this. Okay, so the usual time, the average time, the spending time here was half an hour. All right. Does it make sense?
Yes, makes sense.
That's terrible here. Service unavailable. Right.
Yeah, I think that is very educational. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I probably want to start doing some research work and.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course. I can really recommend it. It's great. It's an amazing experience, and you get so much feedback from your users.
Yeah.
Much better. Develop much better software if you do this kind of research, because you know your users better. You cannot think of your own demands or your own way of how you imagine a software. You cannot expect that to be for everyone else, right?
Yes.
Everyone has the other people have different needs, which are not the same like yours.
Yeah.
So it's very important to talk to your users.
Yes. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. So I think yeah, probably I'll have to go. These guys are getting impatient.
You're getting impatient?
No, this little one.
Yeah, the little ones are getting impatient. I know.
Yeah.
We're about to close this meeting anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. So you said the other open source stuff you contribute to human.
The other
human something.
I contributed human connection, and tomorrow we'll have. Yeah, it's a social network.
Okay.
We're going to be on Agile Ventures very soon.
Okay. And then what's your username on?
Say it again.
What's your username on Speaker Deck?
I think it's also Ron Schaefer.
Okay.
Like my usual name.
Okay. Sure. I'll probably look you.
Oh no! What happened?
Yeah, I think that they just.
Doesn't sound very nice. Sounds like him or herself.
Yeah, they. Yeah, they just want attention. Yeah, that's all. Yeah.
Okay, Mike. Any questions from your side?
Not really. I think I'm very happy with the session today. Yeah, it's very
nice. I'm very glad about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think looking forward to the next one.
Nice. Cool.
Right. Okay.
Then I would say let's finish this meeting, and I say goodbye.
Yeah. Bye.
And say and maybe comfort the little. Yeah.
No, bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Thanks.
You're welcome. Bye bye. Bye.